So, in the next 45 minutes, what are that we are going to cover? How we got here. So, without the tribunal, the GST functioned for the past 8 years. You know it, 1st of July 2017, GST was introduced, but immediately the tribunal did not come into existence. Of course, if you see the past history, the Central Excise and Salt Act was enacted in the year 1944, but the tribunal has come into existence in the late 90s, 80s only. So, if you compare for the past, then I think that we got the tribunal pretty early under the GST regime. So, that is one good thing. And moreover, that you know it, that the tribunals are different from the normal courts. So, to render justice expeditiously and also cost effectively, the tribunals is a new concept which has been introduced in India. So, that's how the GST tribunal has also come into existence on the lines of the customs, excise, and service tax tribunal, the erstwhile CSTAT. So every GSTAT clock, all the time limitation periods and which one is running for you, that let us see that. And what is your condemnation window, section 112.6, what is the scope, what are the limits, what is the outer wall, and what are the courts accepting, and how we have to file correctly our condemnation application, and never being here again. So what can be done in order to not to come to this kind of an embarrassing situation wherein that we have to look for an alternatives whether it is exists or not. So let us explore all these things in the coming 45 minutes. Next slide, please. Yeah. So July 2017, no second appellate forum exists. If the GST order has been passed and which is appealable in a tribunal, and if you have crossed this deadline, then you do not have any other option, which already that I have explained to you. So in February 2026, the state benches have started the hearings, and 31st July 2026, backlog filing date already expired. So the GSTAT was launched in Delhi, and all the state benches were constituted, and they have already started the hearing. And we can see a couple of orders also coming from different benches of the tribunals. So roughly 4.8 lakh appeals are expected to reach the GSTAT from this backlog. So let us see how we have to go about it. Next slide, please. So 30,000 appeals are already there, and 5,500 appeals were filed on one single day. These are some statistical things for your interest. The portal had some problems, and that's how the additional 1 month from 30th June hardline, 31st July 2026, the government has extended the deadlines for the past appeals. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, what does the SESTAT will hear? All appeals against the commissioner appeals orders under section 107, and appeals against the revisionary authority orders under section 108, and the departmental appeals under section 112.3, and disputes under CGST, SGST, IGST, UTGST, and compensation cess. What it cannot hear, challenges to the constitutional validity of the GST provisions. So tribunals are barred from taking up the cases which were constitutional questions. So criminal proceedings under the CGST Act also, and orders of the High Court or the Supreme Court are not applicable in a tribunal, because tribunal is a lower forum when compared to a High Court or the Supreme Court. And original orders never taken to the first appeal. Yeah, original orders never taken to the first appeal. You should not construe. If the commissioner orders is there, then directly, because of the financial powers of adjudication, if an order has been passed by the commissioner, certainly that order can be appealed with the GSTAT. And then principal bench at the New Delhi and state benches across the country. Place of supply disputes go to the principal bench alone. Matters up to 50 lakhs may be heard by a single member, and finding of facts are final, and the High Court hears a law only. So these are the common things only, because even under the erstwhile regime, under the central excise and service taxes also, that you know it, that below 50 lakhs, normally it is going to be a single member decisions only. And the finding of facts are never taken up by the High Court or the Supreme Court. They are only law deciding authorities. And another thing also, then if there is a dispute between two states, then that cannot be decided by the GSTAT in one particular state. Hence, these such kind of matters are to be appealed with the national bench sitting in, principal bench sitting in Delhi only. So that is one important thing one needs to keep in mind. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the 112 subsection 1 gives you the power that 3 months from the date of order that is communicated to you. Again, the word communicate is an important phrase because how it has to be communicated, whether you should receive an order, a signed order, hard copy, or if it is uploaded in the portal, also tantamount to a communication, or there are various other means. So what is it? So there are court rulings to say that when somebody is diligent and he is filing his returns from time to time in the portal, then he has to take the extra fees because these orders are not going to be visible in the screen. If somebody who is familiar with the GST filings and all, that immediately it will not flash like a flash news to you, that it will not come as a scrolling message or something that you have got an order, or that there is a show cause notice against you. So for all these things that you need to search at the appropriate places in the website, and then you have to figure out that is there any order pending against you and all that. So, but 3 months the time limit can be counted from the date the order has been uploaded in the portal, or from the time when it has been communicated to you, even by way of a WhatsApp message or an email message. So there is something called official mail ID, which you have registered at the time of taking registration with the GST authorities. But even otherwise also, if the communication has reached you, then from that date onwards, 3 months time clock starts. So always it is a good practice that once you have received an order, it is better that you give an acknowledgement in writing to the authorities that on this day that you have received the order, so that your time clock is known not only to you, whatever is your understanding that my time clock has started today will be the understanding of the officers also, if you reduce it in writing and communicate it with the authorities. That is a good practice that somebody can adopt. Small value discretion. The tribunal may refuse appeals below 50,000 of tax or the ITC. So this is something discretionary because frivolous matters that the tribunal's valuable time should not be spent. Hence, that they have put a threshold. Even for the government also, that there are certain thresholds below which the government cannot go for an appeal. However, some discretionary power is given to them that if it is a matter of recurring nature, or many such assets are going to be impacted, but the value is going to be less only. In all such cases, on a discretionary level, the tribunal can take up such kind of cases also, even though they are below the monetary limit. Then there is a 45 days time period is there for filing your cross objections. But mind you, this 45 days starts from the date that you receive from the other side of the appeal to file your cross objections. From that day onwards, it is going to be 45 days because you do not know when the hearing is going to take place. And at the time of hearing, if the tribunal authorities feel that a cross objections need to be filed or required to be seen before deciding this case, then a notice will be issued to you and you can file the cross objections. And a further 3 months on sufficient cause, nothing beyond. So these are important phrases, the sufficient cause and nothing beyond, that one needs to keep it in mind. So what is sufficient cause that we are going to take up now? Yeah, point taken, sir. I'll slow the speed. And then, as per the subsection 8, there is a pre-deposit also. So there is an amendment recently regarding the pre-deposit and the value cap also. So if somebody is interested, that they can look at the relevant notifications. Once you have made the pre-deposit, like in the previous tax regime of CSTAT and all that, once you have made the pre-deposit, the stay is automatic in your case. So there need not be any kind of a stay hearing and then issuance of a stay by the tribunal. All these things are eliminated. So the minute you make a pre-deposit, that means that you got a stay. That means the department cannot proceed against you for the balance 90% of the tax dues without hearing the final orders from the solicitor. So the stay is an automatic stay, like what it used to be in the SSTAT regime also. Next slide, please. Yeah, nothing to do on the limitation. So if you have already filed before 31st of 2026, there's nothing more that you need to do. But if your order was communicated to you on or after 1st of May 2026, then the normal rule applies. That is 3 months from the date of communication. So again, another additional 3 months on sufficient cause. So that you have to be watchful about. And if you miss the deadline of 31st July 2026, you are inside the condonation window under section 112(6). File the appeal and the condonation application together. The remaining time is measured in weeks and not in months. But however, this is a very, very strange and stray case wherein that if you have missed the bus for 31st July 2026, whether this claim is going to, your appeal is going to be entertained, all depends on sufficient cause and the discretionary power of the courts. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is again a pictorial representation of what we have discussed. The department always gets double the time limit when compared to the SSCs. So for the department, the normal period is 6 months and the condonable extension is another 6 months. Whereas for a taxpayer, it is 3 months plus 3 months. And for rectification, you get a 3 months time in the normal period and 3 months for a condonable delay. And High Court appeal that you get 6 months. That is the same case even for the department. And cross objections, as I told you, is a 45 days. And then ex parte restoration is a 1 month period. This is a pictorial representation of the time limits only and nothing else. Next slide, please. Yeah, I think it is time for Manoj to intervene.
Yeah. Quickly, I'll launch a poll, guys. And one thing, if you have any queries or any questions regarding the webinar or anything, so you just type in the Q&A session or in the chat box. So the speaker will be answering the questions. So you just make sure that you ask question, guys. Whenever it's possible, you can ask. So and at the end of the session, we have another Q&A session. So if you want to talk with speaker, I can unmute you and you can ask the question to speaker also. So I'm ending the poll here. Akila sir.
Yeah, next slide, please. So this is section 1126, what it actually gives, let us see. It's a discretionary power which is given for the tribunal. It may, that is important word is may, admit an appeal presented after the prescribed period if it is satisfied that there was, again, important clause, sufficient cause for not presenting it in time. The extension is capped at 3 further months. So what is not is, it is not an entitlement, not automatic, not granted because your case is strong on merits. A good case doesn't excuse a bad explanation. So that is what that you need to keep it in mind. So the important phrases are that it is a discretionary power that one needs to keep it in mind. And then sufficient cause should be there. The sufficient cause is something which we need to ponder a lot. Next slide, please. So what is sufficient cause is not, it is undefined. It is not defined anywhere in the law. So we have to extract from the previous decisions of the courts that how the courts got satisfied themselves that there is a sufficient cause and the condemnation should be given. So what is usually accepted? That without blinking our eyes, that we can, there are certain things which will be normally admitted. So what are they? The order was never communicated or reached to you late. But here, the important point is that this has to be proved. The order was not communicated, has to be proved. So that is the reason when it is a digitally driven taxation system that when the order was uploaded will be there, that digital stamp will be there in the portal. So that way one needs to keep it in mind, and that is the reason whenever that we are receiving any orders by hand in physical form, then I am suggesting that it is a good practice that you acknowledge the receipt of the order on whatever date that you have actually received, so that it will be there on the record at the time of seeking condonation in case of eventuality. So if the order is not communicated, that is very good ground for you, and the documented illness of the person responsible for filing. So this is the one excuse. I will not say lame duck excuse, but many SSCs will normally want to resort to. But there that you need to have a strong proof in the form of the medical reports and exact date and all that. But you cannot say for simple procedures that you have taken too much of post hospitalization leave or something, because business is something that you will not be stopping whether you are there or not, unless it is solely dependent on your performance. So in such a case, that we cannot cite that as an example, but if there are sufficient grounds that it is a serious illness wherein the person who is the decision maker is not in a position to act on his own. So such kind of medical records, if you are able to furnish, then maybe the condemnation will be considered. And genuine GSTN or GSTAT portal failure with tickets or screenshots. See, sometimes the portals behave erratically because it is all technology driven. So there can be bugs or system issues, things like that. So in such a scenario, that you cannot simply say that on the day there was a technical glitch, hence I wasn't able to submit. To establish your credentials in a better position, that whenever there is a technical glitch, once it is resolved, then on the portal that you have to raise a ticket saying that from so and so time to so and so time there was a technical glitch because of which I wasn't able to file my return or a report or whatever it is that in this appeal. So if such a kind of a in writing, and that will be acknowledged by the system by way of a token. So if that such kind of tokens are there, or at least the submission in the form of a screenshot, sometimes that they may not generate the token for certain reasons. So in such a case, at least if you have submitted it and it says a token cannot be generated against such a kind of a request, such a kind of a screenshots are also going to help you to establish your genuineness in seeking condonation. And a rectification application under section 161 pursued in good faith. See, sometimes the consultants or your chartered accountant or somebody may suggest that, okay, let us file a rectification so that what happens, we will get additional time. In the meanwhile, you gather the pre-deposit that you have to make a deposit and all that. So the rectification order will come, or that he may say that I will not issue a rectification order. From that day onwards, the time period will count. But that is an erroneous impression, sir. So why I'm telling you is that if the rectification application has been accepted, then the time clock will shift from the date of the order to the date of rectification order. But in all other cases, rectification application, if it is accepted, then the rectification order will come. So from that day onwards, it is going, the time clock will start. But if rectification has been rejected, then from the date of the original order only, that the time clock will start, because frivolous rectification applications are going to be discouraged in this manner. So that also one needs to keep it in mind. So it is not a solution that for every case, because that you want additional time, maybe for collecting the pre-deposit or anything, arranging for the pre-deposit, anything, people suggest that let us file a rectification just for the sake of it. But moreover, even the rectification also, that there are grounds that on what cases that you can go for a rectification. If it is only an arithmetical error and substantially the order is not going to be changed based on the rectification application. So all these things will also come into the picture. So the application has to be meritorious for considering under the rectification, and then the rectification order has to come in order to shift the time clock. And bona fide pursuit of wrong forum backed by diligence. So sometimes it so happens that we will be given an impression that you should be seeking a remedy at some other forum. Like instead of going into the SISTAT, that you should go before the High Court. Somebody may say that, yeah, you file a writ or some other thing that he may say. So in such a cases, that the genuine SSEs, not knowing that whether that is the right approach or not, may be knocking the wrong forums. In all such cases, if it is a bona fide effort put in by the SSE, then also the condemnation will be given. And natural calamities and are other force measures, like sometimes, like the COVID era, that we are very familiar, the Supreme Court themselves have to intervene into the whole subject and then extend the time limits for all the appeals and all the orders and all that. So we are well aware that in case of force measures, that definitely the condonation will be allowed. But routinely, what is rejected is my clerk did not take care of it, by oversight, clerical mistake that we have done, hence that we could not file it in time. So these are lame duck excuses which are not going to be routinely accepted. We were busy, our seasonal workload, papers were misplaced. Somebody, that employee has kept it in his drawer and locked it and went on a holiday trip. And by the time that he came back and noticed it, the time is already over, hence what I need to do. So such a kind of lame duck excuses are not going to be allowed, and lack of awareness of the law. So that is where it comes in, that you should not be knocking the wrong forums without any genuine reasons and all that. So for that, you need to be aware of the law also. And I have changed the consultant. The earlier consultant did not work on it. Hence, there is a delay. Also, is not going to be acceptable all the time. And financial difficulty, it explains an unpaid pre-deposit, not an unfiled appeal. See, if you are not in a position to file, collect the money for making the pre-deposit, then that cannot be a ground, because the government has given options to make the pre-deposit even from your credit. Sometimes your credit ledger also runs empty. So in such a cases, maybe you will be having a hardship in collecting the money to make a pre-deposit on a frivolous appeal that you are supposed to file. But unfortunately, the condonation will not be extended to you. So we need to keep all these things in mind. Next slide, please. So there are some principles which were enunciated in the Isha Bhattacharya versus Managing Committee of Raghunathpura Nafar Academy. This is a very good reference case wherein the Supreme Court has come out with some principles, so which are going to be relevant for our discussion. Justice over technicality. The approach must be liberal, pragmatic, and courts exist to remove injustice and not to legalize it. So these are some of the foundational principles for considering a condonation application, wherein the Supreme Court has given some suggestions in this judgment. Be liberal, but liberal is not limitless. That you can't be limitlessly liberal. Reasonableness still governs, and a liberal approach cannot become unfettered free play. So, if somebody, some judge was there that he is routinely allowing all the condemnations, yeah, so you apply because that he is lenient, but that leniency has got its own limits. You can't be too lenient, because that again it is going to be subject to review or the higher forums. So the department is not going to take it lying. So, and length matters. Sharp delays attract a generous view, but long delays attract the doctrine of prejudice and a stricter work. So, this is another point. If you are missing the deadline by a day or two or a week, these are some things which can happen because of some urgency that has developed at your workplace or because of any reasons. But if you are sleeping on this issue for months or years together and suddenly wake up because that you have got a consultant who says that I'm going to do magic and I'm going to get a favorable order to you, let us file with some condonation. He may encourage you, but your long delay of inaction definitely is going to be a problem for granting you the condonation. And conduct is evidence. So inaction, negligence, and general attitude are relevant to whether you acted bona fide or not. This is where I am emphasizing that in establishing the sufficient cause, your approach should be genuine and very natural, and there should not be any kind of all actions that are known to you or brought to your notice that you have acted on. That kind of genuineness should be visible from your efforts. Otherwise, that the condemnation is not going to be accepted or taken in kind. Concourted grounds backfire. Fanciful explanations expose the other side to needless litigation and are treated accordingly. This is what I'm telling that yes, there can be a problem, sir, that we have appointed only one person. The startup founders normally will come and say that I am a guy, I'm new to this taxation and all that. I thought that this person will do wonders for me. I have assigned it to me, but he is having too many things, or that he is appearing too many forums, hence he could not devote time. That is these are all fanciful explanations. You may be very good in your field, but that doesn't mean that when you are running an organization and there are compliances attached to the work that you are doing it, but if you have missed on one of the things, but because of the timelines, that you cannot simply put the blame on some other person. So these are all concocted grounds which are not going to be considered at all. And they draft it properly. Application must be prepared with care. A hazard application invites refusal on its own terms. That is because that you can't put fanciful words or invoke independence that I am giving employment to so many people. So mistakes can happen. It's all human that will be doing small mistakes and all. And for that reason, crores of demand cannot be confirmed against me. All these kind of excuses are not going to be accepted. So you have to draft it very precisely with actual facts and the genuine efforts that you have put in, and also the real reasons behind the why you missed the opportunity, the time. Next slide, please. So there are some decisions. I am just giving the citations over here that you please go through them, because there is no point in going through the decisions that why they have come. In Kajal Agrawal, Madras High Court has said that 67 days delay was condoned where the taxpayer had first pursued the rectification under Section 161. Pursuing an alternative statutory remedy in good faith was held to be the sufficient cause. So here that is the reason. In arranged fashions, Punjab and Haryana High Court has said that time spent on a pending rectification application must be excluded while computing the limitation period for the appeal. So it is on the lines of Kajal Agrawal's decision. And engineered and innovative Allahabad High Court decision, 95 days delay is condoned where the managing director's serious illness was established through medical records. So this is the key word. Serious illness established through medical records is a reason. And Sunil Kumar Vich, Himachal Pradesh High Court, rejected an appeal for 1 day delay, and it was described as hyper technical and it was set aside. So 1 day delay, that's what I told. The short delays are going to be condoned. So in this case, that is what is the benefit that they have got. And we are India trader, Rajasthan High Court, limitation runs from the date of the order is communicated and not the date it is issued. A dismissal on wrong start date was scratched. This is precisely what I told you, the communication. So you should record the date on which you actually have received this order, either in the portal or in the form of a physical copy, but you should acknowledge it in writing somewhere so that your understanding and the authority's understanding, your rival party in appeal, will be the same. So that understanding can be brought before the court also. So that is very important. So this decision supports that view. And in such a furnitures, Madras High Court, a week's delay was caused by the accountant's error. It was condoned. A taxpayer should not suffer for a representative's mistake absent malefides. But these are very straight. Madras High Court, maybe that the SSC was fortunate that such a decision was given, but normally that courts will not entertain such kind of causes. Next slide, please. The judgments that closed the door, because these are also important. The Singh Enterprises in the Supreme Court, an appellate authority created by statute, cannot condone delay beyond the period the statute allows, where a special law fixes its own condonation period. Section 5 of the Limitation Act stands excluded. So, this is a very important finding that one needs to keep in mind. What it says that when an appellate authority is created by a statute, the statute is also permitting the appellate authority to condone the delay only for the additional 3 months. Normal period 3 months, additional period of 3 months. But beyond this 6 months period, if somebody is saying that I have powers to condone, then that is not going to be acceptable, is what the Supreme Court is emphasizing in this particular decision. Similarly, in the Glasgow Supreme Court decision, a high cannot use Article 226 to do what the statutory authority is barred from doing. A time barred appeal cannot be revived through writ jurisdiction as a matter of routine. See, the word that I have used is as a matter of routine. So, if it is a special case, definitely in the form of a writ, the High Court may be able to condone the delay, but not as a matter of routine. So, this is that decision. In Hong Kong, India, the condonation within statutory limits remains discretionary, and the tribunal must weigh the cause shown against the prejudice to the other side. So, this is where that I told that a sufficient cause is a very important phrase that one needs to understand in its right perspective. And Penule Nexus, Kerala High Court, 209 days delay was refused as GSTAT Act was held to be a self-contained code that impliedly excludes the Limitation Act. So beyond the additional condonation period, when you wanted to go for a condonation, the court has said that it cannot go beyond the statute and you can't bring Limitation Act into the picture and seek a condonation. In Viswanath Traders, Patna High Court decision, which was subsequently upheld by the Supreme Court also, that writ relief refused where the appellant had not been diligent in using the alternative remedy available within the time. So, approaching the right forum is also one of the conditions which I have explained to you in the previous slides. So, you have to be very diligent. That's why you should know the basics of the law. I'm not saying in depth. Now everybody should know it, but at least the basics one should know. The 3 months is the normal time period. Another 3 months is that the time that I am having. So these kinds of things that one needs to be aware of. And then Puneet Kumar Chobe, Patna High Court, condonation is refused where the appellant had ignored the discretionary limit, intimation and the show cause notice and the reminders and the personal hearing. If you are ignorant of all these things and ultimately the order was thrust on you, then even the order was also ignored during the normal period and then you seek a condonation, that is going to be for sure refused. This has been reiterated in the Patna High Court decision also. So these are some of the decisions that I am bringing to your notice because that you should know where exactly your application is going to be rejected. So for that purpose, next slide please. So there is no safety net behind the tribunal. Once the condonable period expires, the appeal right is extinguished, not paused, not preserved by a pending writ, not recoverable by a stronger case on merits. It is extinguished means it is extinguished. The tribunal has got no power beyond the statutory extension because tribunal is a body constituted under a statute and the statute has given time limits. The tribunal has to adhere to it. The High Court will not use Article 226 to override the limitation as a matter of course, which we have already seen that there are judgments to support this statement. And your merits are never examined because the appeal is never admitted. So you may say that I am having a 100% pakka case, but your 100% pakka case will stand only when you have adhered to the timelines given under the law. If you miss your timelines, even though your case is really 100% genuine, that if it is not going to be entertained and if it is not admitted, where do you get justice? So one needs to be aware of these things very clearly. Next slide, please. So how you have to file it? So file the appeal itself. Form GST APL 05 and GSTAT portal. File it even though it is late. Limitation is decided by the tribunal and not by the portal. Hence, you have to file it. First, you file it at least and attach the condonation application. An interlocutory application in GSTAT Form 01 under Section 1126, stating the exact number of days of delay and the specific cause. That is going to be the sufficient cause. If it merits, then definitely your application is going to be accepted. Supported with an affidavit, dates, documents, and a clear declaration that the delay was neither deliberate nor designed to gain advantage should always be there. And pay the pre-deposit, 10% of the disputed tax due at the time of filing. Don't wait for the condonation to be decided. Allow 5 days for bank and portal processing also, because that you have to deposit, make this pre-deposit with Bharat Posh. There are people are reporting system issues, technical glitches, and all that for the challan to get reflected and all that. Hence, you always give enough time for the challan to get reflected, so plan it accordingly and make the pre-deposit and attend the hearing. Both sides are heard. Department may oppose, but if the tribunal is satisfied, appeal is going to be admitted. If not, it is going to be dismissed as time bar. But you need to attend the hearing. So there is a practice in the trade that three adjournments are normally should be given. Hence, I will seek an adjournment. So even for the admission hearing also, you start applying this principle that shows that you are not very keen to pursue your matter, or definitely there is something wrong on your part, is the general understanding of the people. So that is the reason. Please attend the hearing when it is scheduled. That will show your eagerness and how fast that you want to settle the litigation. That intention will be forthcoming. So please attend the hearing on the day it is posted. But if for genuine reasons, if you are seeking a adjournment, no problem. But simply because the law provides you three adjournments, let me enjoy it. So I will seek an adjournment. Should not be the approach. Next slide, please. So, some mistakes that filing at GSTAT when the delay is already beyond the condonable period. The tribunal cannot help. You spend the pre-deposit and the time for nothing. So, if it is 3 months plus 3 months, already you have crossed all those time limits and all that, there is no point in filing and making a pre-deposit, because again, getting back the pre-deposit itself is going to take some time. And a vague affidavit, no dates and no documents, is also not going to help you. Because I told you that you have to be very meticulous, because this is all digital age. So unless you put the dates and the exact timings and the precise papers that we are not uploading it, like medical records, what we have discussed in some cases, then it is going to be rejected. Filing the condemnation application without the appeal. So some people will say that appeal that I am drafting it, let us file a condemnation first. Let the condemnation be given, then I can file a formal appeal, is a wrong approach. You have to file the appeal first, and along with that, a condemnation should go. And treating the pre-deposit as payable later, I told you that you have to somehow manage the pre-deposit. You can't say that I'll file my appeal, I'll file my condemnation letter also, but let the tribunal take up the call, and then by the time that I'll arrange the funds and I'll make a pre-deposit, is also going to be a problem area for you. And pleading financial difficulty as the cause of delay is not going to be something entertained. Financial difficulty for the final order, wherein that you have to pay the tax, interest, penalty, all those things. When it is finally decided, if you are pleading for it, maybe the tribunal will consider, because that there are options under the statute wherein that you can seek installment payments and all that, subject to again discretionary powers of the authority who is going to take a decision on it. But for pre-deposit, you don't have such kind of a luxury. Invariably, when you want to go for an appeal, if it mandates a pre-deposit, then you should be ready with the pre-deposit amount also at the time of filing your appeal. Pleading for financial difficulty for filing the pre-deposit itself is not going to help you anyway. Next slide, please. So the pre-deposit, as I told you, that they have brought it down to from 20% to 10%, and also the value cap is now to 20 crores from 50 crores. And in penalty only cases, 10% of the pre-deposit applies only to the penalty only demands from effective from 1st of April 2025. And recovery, once the pre-deposit is paid, recovery of the balance is stayed. As I told you, that it is automatic stay, and plan 5 days. That is because Bharat Kosh were taking this deposit and again communicating with the GSTAT portal and reflecting this challan will take its own time. Hence, you have to plan accordingly. Next slide, please. So, illustrative for a disputed demand of 1 crore. So, 10 lakhs is the pre-deposit, but let the order become final, tax plus 1 year's interest, that it may be 118 lakhs. The pre-deposit is refundable if you succeed. The recovery is not. Interest at 18% per annum runs on the confirmed demand until it is paid in the normal circumstances. But if it is a misutilization of ITC, you know it, that interest rate can go up to 25% also. Penalty and the department's recovery power sit on top of both. And the High Court petition costs several times what a tribunal appeal costs, and it will only hear questions of law. So, by a drop of a hat, in order to gain additional time, because that if you go for a normal appeal with the tribunal, you have to make a pre-deposit. Whereas if you are filing a writ before the High Court, it is only the lawyer's fee what you have to pay. Thereby, you gain some amount of time within which that you can keep ready the pre-deposit amount. This is some strategy which normally people will be thinking. But the High Court petitions definitely are going to cost you several times more than your pre-deposit amounts. But if your pre-deposit itself runs into crores and all, it's a different matter. But definitely, if it is not the right forum to seek a writ, because writ is a extraordinary jurisdiction which the court has to invoke in order to give you the relief. Unless it merits the writ admission, then the writ itself is not going to be admitted. Then the tribunal may say that a delay is not condonable because you have approached the wrong forum. So we should not be ending up in such a scenario that we lost at both ends. So please be aware that whenever the litigation is there, that you have to be extra vigilant. Next slide, please. So not every order deserves an appeal. So there are some questions that we have. Is the issue legal or factual? If it is a pure legal issues, they travel better. And does the amount justify 10% pre-deposit plus the professional fee? Will the same issue repeat in later periods? An uncontested order becomes a template for the next demand. These are some of the questions that people will be having. But if order is passed beyond the limitation, definitely it is a good case. ITC is denied for supplier's default. That is also a good case, subject to all the decisions that we have received so far from the various courts and all that. And Section 74, fraud allegation and classification of rate disputes, valuation disputes, refund rejections, penalties under 122 or 125, interest computation error, late fee for delayed filing. You see the strength slowly decreasing in all these cases. That it is a pictorial representation of the strength of the indicative strength of the causes for your appeals. That is what is pictured over here, just to give you a view of if your issue falls into one of these causes, then whether it is really having any strength or not, that you can decide. Next slide, please. So what happens if the window closes on you? The earlier order against which you wanted to go for appeal and the condonation, that becomes a final, and recovery proceedings are unrestricted. So once the department realizes that you are not having any kind of a appeal on hand and no stay has been granted to you, then they will start the recovery proceedings. Writ relief is a poor substitute. As I told you, writ admission itself is a very challenging thing because it is an extraordinary jurisdiction with which the High Court has to entertain your appeal, your writ. Hence, it is not a default method, so it is a poor substitute for the normal legal remedy of filing an appeal with the GSTAT. Facts are gone forever. Even if a successful writ hears only the question of law, but if you are going to present the documents there and say that as per this document that I have paid this tax and all, the court is not going to go into the details of the fact finding, because High Court and Supreme Court are not the fact finding authorities. The last fact finding authority in a normal GST dispute is the GST tribunal. The lower authorities and their appellate authorities, first level appellate authorities, and after that the GST. tribunal. The GST tribunal can go into such kind of details and the fact findings, and then accordingly they can take a decision. But the High Court and Supreme Court will go into the legalities of the issue, but they are not going to look at your documents, how you have maintained your accounts, and whether the credit is really eligible in his hands or not. In principle, whether the credit is eligible or not, that they will say. But whether 100 rupees is eligible or 30 rupees eligible, this is something which is a fact finding. So those matters, the High Court is not going to come into the picture. And the future years inherit the position. So once you have lost your right to go in for an appeal against a case, normally that position is going to stand against you. So tomorrow, whatever action you take, it should be in consonance with the order that you have, whether by will or by default that you have accepted, because that you do not have any forum for going in for an appeal. Hence, it becomes binding on you. So that the future years inherit the position. That is what it is. Next slide, please. So why was the deadline missed in the first place? Nobody saw the order. No single register of matters. Mismatch surfaced too late. Evidence was scattered. These are some of the excuses that we come across. Why it is happening? Because this GST is GST is a transaction tax, and it is a digitally driven tax. So voluminous data is there with you, even on the portal also. Like you will be invoicing several items. So each line item that you have to make a mention while preparing your e-invoice. And after that, you will be submitting it to the e-invoice. E-invoice portal will give you an acknowledgement that you have to print it on your invoice, and then accordingly you have to prepare an e-way bill. And after that, that you will be sending the goods. So the goods will be received at the other end. So voluminous data is there. So you can say that evidence is scattered, hence that you missed the deadline. But the thing is that the government is in a way forcing you to go digital. That is the reason automation is very, very, very important. I do not know whether I have to really bold, italicize, underline this word, that digitization is the key. Automation is the key to live in GST environment. Please keep that in mind. That is the reason I'm telling that you look at the GSTN, GSP, and ASP service providers who are giving you the automation solutions. See, I'm not here advertising for one or that I'm saying that this is the best or anything of that sort. But definitely, it is worth considering at your end that automation is the solution for all your problems. So you should look at automation. Whosoever may be the service provider, please look at it, have a look, have a discussion with them, understand to what extent your transactions are going to be automated in their process. If you are really satisfied, then you go with them. Yes, there is a cost to it, but the litigation cost is much higher than automation cost. Next slide, please. So the tribunal appeal is the last link in a long chain. There is a mismatch. Purchase register doesn't agree with the GSTR 2B. Department questions the ITC claimed and issues a notice, and it demands are confirmed with interest and penalty by way of an adjudication order. Then the commissioner appeals will uphold the demand in the first appeal. Then the second appeal is with the GSTAT, where we are today arguing about the dates. So link 1 is a data problem, and link 5 is a litigation problem. So every rupee of pre-deposit, every hour of counsel's time, and every anxious calculation of a condonation window traces back to a reconciliation that nobody ran in time or a portal notice that nobody saw. Fix the first link, and the last one rarely happens. So this is what is the essence, what I've told you at the end of the previous slide, that automation is the solution that you have to look at. With automation only, this much of large volumes of data reconciliations will happen seamlessly. Next slide, please. So Wepsol's GST automation platform, built by government recognized GST service Suvidha provider, connected directly to the GSTN and trusted by more than 1,000 companies. So returns, reconciliations, invoicing, e-bill, controls, all these can be seen. So you just see the demo, and then you really see the complexity of your operation. And if they are able to match your bandwidth, then it is certainly time for you to think about the automation. I think Manoj, you want to pitch in something?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
so as I said, the Flotex you can file end-to-end GST filing software. So GSTR one, 3B, the like that, and you can create e-invoice, e-way bills, IMS, API, and other also. So if you want any demo or you want to explore the Flotex, drop your email in the chat box. So I'll get back to you guys. So yeah, and we'll be jumping to the Q&A sessions. Anyone having any questions, please drop it in a Q&A box. So we'll answer the questions. So Akela sir, we have two questions right now. Rajnikant Garg replied us in earlier year due to technical glitch, we have not filed trans 1 and we won the case in High Court Guwahati, but GST Commissioner denied to give us relief.
Okay. So, in such a scenario, my first question to you is that have you raised any ticket on the GST portal that there is a technical glitch? You are saying that you have won the case in the Guwahati High Court, but even then the commissioner is denying us to give you the relief is very peculiar because he cannot disobey the High Court orders.
Yes, sir. In 2019, 18 and
Ah,
19, when I filed the case for trans 1, we have not
okay.
submitted on time due to
Ah,
some technical glitches, and we have provided all documents
right.
and in High Court of Guwahati.
Guwahati. Right.
Guwahati, a wide advocate taken the case and we won. But when we go to Commissioner of GST, he denied, and we
No,
have
no,
not.
how he can deny when the court has
I,
given you the relief?
I
What is the
don't
ground on
understand.
which the commissioner has denied it?
But I don't understand. He has denied verbally, but not tell me
Ah,
anything. He had not given any letter, anything else. But he has denied, and we have not.
so
Yes, sir.
what your consultant has advised you, what your advocate has advised you as a next step?
Sorry, that is a long time, and
No,
I
no.
have and I have.
What your advocate has told you, what is next course that advocate has suggested you in this?
He is very senior advocate, Mr. Ranjan, our Chief Justice of Mr. Ranjan's friend. Uh, I don't now. I am not mind his name, but
Okay.
only he has filed the case and he gave me the government order, High Court order, and said that. And after that, he is not interested actually.
Your advocate is not interested in pursuing the
Yeah,
matter further.
yeah.
So then you change your advocate, sir.
It's okay. I
Because
have I have
once
left.
the court has given the direction, I do not know
Yeah.
what exactly the direction because you are not able to recollect it
Yes, yes,
actually.
yes,
But if
yes,
you
yes.
can tell me what is the order, maybe that I would have. Because if they have suggested something by remanding the
Just,
matter back,
just, just I quit the case because we are discussing about this. So I quit the case, but actually I have left the company before.
okay, okay. But the thing is that normally the commissioners are well within their limits and they are knowledgeable people only. That they will not be ignoring court directions like that. There should be some reason for it. So, since you are not able to recollect what exactly the court order and why the reason that the commissioner is denying it, that too verbally, but once the order is
Yeah,
there, then you can continuously make a request in writing and take acknowledgements with some acknowledgements and time delay and all, you again go back to High Court and file your case
yeah,
saying that your order is not going to be acceptable to the commissioner. and he is not passing any orders, and this much of delay is there. Hence, I should be paid the interest also for the delay you can claim it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, sir?
Yeah, sir. Swati Patel dropped a chat saying that we have applied for the rectification of order.
Okay.
Same has not been accepted or rejected.
No. But if it is not accepted or rejected, that have you again reminded the authority in writing? Why he is sitting on that rectification appeal? Because you cannot simply file an application and keep quiet. After some time, that you have to again pursue your matter, right?
Yeah, actually, I have made the officer also twice, but he is telling he have actually not passed any order, or even he have not rejected the same thing. So, what will be the my further step?
No, you have to submit in writing that what happened to my rectification application. You ask them in writing, and ask them to give it in writing to you, like whatever may be their reply. They cannot simply keep quiet like Yogi or Muni, that he observes the silence. That's not the solution,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
No,
If
that's not the solution. You have to reduce it to writing, that you just send a reminder to them that on so and so date you have passed an order, and because of these reasons I am seeking a rectification.
okay, okay, sir.
Yeah, in the Q&A session, there are four of
Yeah,
people asking.
I'm going to take up that questions one after the other. If you are
Okay, sir.
touching the coming to the Q&A, so the
Yeah.
first one is anonymous attendee. Given that high courts cannot entertain appeals barred by statutory limitation, does the GST tribunal possess any power under Section 112 to condone the delay or entertain appeals arising from orders that were time barred at the first appeal or adjudication level? Answer is clear, no, sir. This is what I've told you, that there are Supreme Court decisions which also say the tribunal is a body constituted by the statute, and the statute itself has prescribed you the timeline. Hence, you can't go beyond that. So the tribunal cannot entertain the time barred appeals from the original or appellate levels. The second question is from Diksha Kumari Sinha. How can we ensure that GST notice, order, or statutory deadline never gets missed in the first place, and how GST platform can help to prevent avoidable disputes? This is for the GST platforms. See, ma'am, that I do not know whether Flowtax has really got the capability or not, but some of the service providers in the market, that they have got the litigation module along with their automation tool, that they have got a litigation module, wherein in the GST portal, whenever a notice is issued, an order is issued, or anything, any communication is issued to you, then immediately that will be brought to your notice in the form of a flash or something. Or in some cases, somebody is giving you a mail also by attaching whatever the notice that is downloaded from the GST portal, that the service provider will indicate it to you. And also that they have got a mechanism in which that they will, because now everything is artificial intelligence generated, and this machine learning is all new terminologies and technologies are coming into the picture, right? So there are some AI tools, AI assisted tools, who are doing the reading of this entire show cause notice, and then in a crisp summary that they will tell you that because of this allegation under section 74 or 75, that so much of duty with interest and penalty was levied on you under so and so sections and all, that they will give you. So once this kind of mailer comes to you or flash comes to you, definitely you will not be missing. So you will start pursuing it. Then once you have submitted your reply, then that reply date also gets captured in it. And some service providers are giving you AI generated, like a chat GPT replies and all that. They are consolidating such kind of replies, and they are assisting you in making a reply also. So your reply date and all will be captured by them. And again, whenever the hearing notice comes, that they will put that, and they will send you reminders. So there is a litigation management tool attached to this automation tool. Some of the service providers are giving it. If Flowtax is able to give such a kind of a facility, then certainly you can explore and you can see the demo. and that's how that you can keep track of it. Otherwise, with a Excel, you have to keep track of such kind of a things. Be diligent while watching the portal. I think I've answered your question. There is another one. Furthermore, when an appeal is preferred before GSTAT against such a time-barred dismissal, will the tribunal examine and adjudicate upon the factual merits of the case, or will it summarily reject the appeal solely because the first appellate authority dismissed it for exceeding the statutory limitation? Yes, it will, because at the time of admission itself, that this matter will be seen first, sir, whether the appeal is filed within time or not. Even if it is a meritorious case, 100% genuine. Department is 100% wrong in levying the tax on you. But if the appeal is not filed within the statutory time limit or the extended time limit with sufficient cause, definitely you have lost your right. So the tribunal is not going to entertain, because that they will see to the merits only after admitting. So at the time of admission, what they will see is whether timelines are crossed or not, and there is a sufficient cause or not. If you are not able to satisfy on these two things, then you are lost. Okay, next. What is the remedy if the officer asks something to accept the appeal? Sir, this is not something that we can discuss in a public forum. So, depending on your company's position and your relations, that you have to deal with it. Is there any alternative to escalate the higher officials? Certainly, sir. At the risk of you being noted by the authorities, that you can do it. I'm not threatening you, but what I'm saying is that maintain good relations. See, the thing is that not everybody is bad. Let us not paste the entire department of CGST, SGST, all the GST authorities are soliciting monies and all that. There can be some unscrupulous elements, but you have to deal with them properly, because that in the public forums that there are no any methods that how you have to tackle with them. Is there any higher authority? Yes, everybody has got a higher authority. If a inspector is asking, you can approach the superintendent. If the superintendent is asking, you can approach the AC. Above him, DC is there, JC is there, additional commissioner is there, commissioner is there, principal commissioner is there, chief commissioner is there, principal chief commissioner is there, board is there, and then finance minister is there, revenue secretary is there. So the entire mechanism is there. There is a hierarchy which everybody knows. So these are some things that embarrassing that we will not be able to discuss in public forums. So I think that I have covered all the questions in the Q&A box also. There's one more. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, sir. So any other people are having any other questions? Okay, I'm not saying any questions on the topic. If not on the related to the topic, any other indirect tax issues, if any problems anybody is facing, you can ask those also. If there is nothing, I think I'm done with. Thank you for your time, and thanks for your patience by listening and joining by sparing your valuable time on this weekend. So thank you. Over to Manoj.
Thank you for everybody for joining. And Akela sir, thanks for the wonderful presentation. If you want to join the webinar again and again, so we will be posting it in our LinkedIn page. You can go and check our LinkedIn page, Flotax Wepsol. Thank you everybody. So we'll be meeting once again someday. Thank you, Akela sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be ending the session right now. Bye.